Family Guy has been around since 1999. It's older now than The Simpsons was when everyone first started making jokes about how much it declined. Indeed, it's fallen on hard times, with fans lamenting its slow death, as each season seems to be progressively more of a chore. We'll get into 6 big reasons why as this video progresses, so be sure to stick around till the end. Let's get started. Overuse of current politics making new episodes dated on arrival. Family Guy has of course always played to political and social commentary on some level, and understandably so. It's an easy avenue to crack relatable jokes about, as well as make the occasional significant statement, as well as poke some fun at major figures in modern society. But the sheer frequency at which modern political references are made on the show has gone up significantly, and while it's nice that it's a socially conscious show, it has an unmistakable byproduct of making these episodes dated in short order. The frequent recycling of the same gags in these situations leave you feeling as though the writers are beating a dead horse as well. Something that likely conflates this problem is that South Park has largely perfected the craft of hyper-relevant political satire over the years, owing no small amount to the fact that their method of making episodes in the span of days and sending them in right before they air allows for them to frequently comment on stories that happened mere days earlier. Family Guy does not have that luxury, having a more traditional animation schedule, and as such, it's instead found itself reminding people of the big headlines of a year ago. The comparison certainly does Family Guy no favors, as it's hard for the political commentary to resonate on near the same degree, and instead the over-reliance on politics can feel like a desperate attempt to cling to relevancy. Many feel that Family Guy has also become far too self-referential. Progressively over time, Family Guy has become much more of a meta show, and frequently this has not been very much to its benefit. In their later seasons, they've developed a real habit of making full-on self-commentary episodes, which often feel like they're less written to entertain audiences and more as an outlet for the showrunners to vent their frustrations about their jobs. That vibe isn't the best, as in many ways it signals disinterest and pessimism from the people in charge, and feels like a poor attitude to have about the very show they're making. There's certainly nothing wrong with some meta-comedy or commentary every now and then, but its biggest strength, at least for a show like this, comes in it being unexpected. If you hit people with it every once in a while, it can be a fun surprise, but dedicating entire episodes to the same joke about voice actors or what have you often comes across as dull and even a bit on the pretentious side. And while we promise not to do this the entire video, once again, comparisons to similar shows hurts Family Guy here, as other adult cartoons have done this in much funnier and deeper ways, such as South Park again, or Rick and Morty in this instance. The latter handles meta humor on a fairly regular basis, but manages to do it without dropping any entertainment value. That's sadly not something Family Guy can pull off, it seems. The B-plots get weaker all the time. In the past, Family Guy was known for its ability to balance 2, and sometimes more, running plots within a single episode, and maintain interest in both. This wasn't always the case, and it wasn't always needed, but it was definitely a major part of the show, and it was useful due to the rapid-fire 3 jokes per minute pace that the show went for. Since there's only so much humor to be gleaned from one premise, having what is effectively a secondary, smaller episode to cut to and check up on throughout helped keep both plot lines from wearing out their welcome and allowed the writing team to avoid forcing jokes into a given situation. Plus, it allowed more of the cast to shine, even when they weren't involved in the main story. An episode could mostly center around Peter and the gang trying out some get-rich-quick scheme, while Brian and Stewie go off on some high-concept adventure, or maybe Chris and Meg bond as siblings. Or perhaps Stewie could try to kill Lois again. You get the picture. It helped give everyone something to do and maintain interest in all of the cast. Sadly, this is another thing that's waned with time, as in recent years, the B-plots have become more and more throwaway. This decline is a sad one, as it was no doubt one of Family Guy's strengths in its heyday, and suggests the writers have lost their touch. That's something that the fans always used to appreciate about the show. Family Guy still has scenes and gags that go on forever just to eat up time. Random filler moments in Family Guy used to have a bit of charm and amusement in them. The Al Harrington cutaways, Conway Twitty songs, and the infamous chicken fights, among other lengthy gags, were originally cherished for their novelty and sheer over-the-top nature.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Darth Twitty.
Is there any more to this message?
Intergalactic proton-powered electrical tentacled advertising droids. Hi, I'm Darth Harrington of Darth Harrington's Intergalactic Droids Emporium and Moonbase.
It was a chicken fight of biblical proportion.
But boy did they outstay their welcome, and before long, fans started seeing them as little more than neon signs of laziness. What started out seeming like ironic filler eventually began to feel just like that. Filler. Specifically filler that was also often a rehash of the exact same joke. Over-reliance on this tactic really plagued the quality of the last few seasons, and they begun trying to hit this joke without even giving it a fun gimmick, meaning it has none of the charm of the old days. Scenes now such as Brian and Stewie spending almost as straight minute just to say a character's full name, all for a barely funny gag, it just plain doesn't land, and fans can tell when the show is simply padding for time.
That's Margaret Woolworth Carrington von Schumacher Chanel Astor Livingston Comte de Saint-Exupéry. My God! You mean the heir to the Woolworth Carrington Saint-Exupéry Mountbatten Windsor Armani Roosevelt von Trapp Wickenham Hearst Montgomery von Schweiger Second Montgomery De La Roche Geico Vanderbilt Lannister Van Buren Butterworth Howard?
While no doubt filling up an entire season with laugh-out-loud episodes is no easy feat, in an age where many shows manage to make episodes that last for double Family Guy's traditional 22-minute runtime without feeling like they're droning on and on, it's hard to have much sympathy for this problem. Granted, those shows aren't comedies, so maybe that's not the most fair comparison, but it's true enough that 22 minutes for a television episode doesn't feel that long anymore, unless of course you're watching Family Guy. New characters are coming too close together and feel forced. Family Guy has introduced several new characters as of late, something that has been understandably driven by the unfortunate and unexpected passings of some of their most enduring voice actors, such as Adam West and Carrie Fisher, which had in turn left their supporting cast with some noticeable holes. So it's reasonable to try and fill that void with new characters, but the execution was off for many. New characters like Doug, Preston, and the new mayor Wild Wild West all feel as though they were inserted too soon and too close together. While there's certainly nothing wrong with introducing new characters, there's a right and wrong way to do it. The shift of a long-running show's supporting cast is ideally something you do gradually, as it can be alienating for a show to pivot so quickly and significantly. What's more, without proper time to breathe, it's hard to really get attached to these new characters, since they've been moving right along to the next in short order. Maybe in the future these characters will be able to catch on and become iconic like those we've known for years, but they might have a rough go of it, judging by how their early years are going. The main characters feel like a shell of themselves. The byproduct of the show's favorite joke being someone acting like a jerk for no reason, mixed with a slow continuity creep, led to a very serious issue. The Griffins have slowly developed over the course of the series run, and not at all in a good way. While they were always at least a little dysfunctional, in the early seasons they were still relatable and likable enough, and at times felt like a genuine family. Simple-minded suburban working husband Peter, frustrated and bored housewife Lois, angsty loser teens in Chris and Meg, all of them seemed recognizable, and then you had Stewie and Brian as the more wacky and out there characters with plots to match. But over time, each member of the Griffin family has become more and more detestable, and their relationships with one another more and more poisonous. It's the kind of thing that might be compelling in a more dramatic show, but for something that's ultimately supposed to be lighthearted fun, it gives many fans a bad taste in their mouth to see what the Griffins have become. In particular, Lois and Peter's marriage feels more like a sham all the time, with an increasing amount of plots concerning cheating and references to divorce. The fact that the family is in shambles has been a joke for years, one that seems less funny and more sad each subsequent season. And that is all the time we have for today's video. Like and subscribe and check out our other videos for content similar to this one. Do you think reports of Family Guy's death have been greatly exaggerated? Or do you agree that the show's decline is absolutely terminal? Be sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And until next time, thanks for watching.